Hello students, welcome to E-PG Pathshala program. I am Dr. Shoaib Lukman from the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow. Today, I am going to talk about the functions of lipids from the paper Lipid Metabolism. The objectives of the present module are to understand the functions of lipids, how they act, and what they do. To understand this, the lipids are natural hydrophobic molecules or the organic compounds occur all through the living world, including animals, microorganisms, plants, and also present in all cell types. Being a vital component of the diet, lipids are a source of high energy value, essential fatty acids, and fat-soluble vitamins. They serve as an extremely good source of energy and stored in a specialized tissues called adipose tissues. Lipids also acts as an insulating material in the subcutaneous tissues and are also spotted in the region of certain organs. They add to the cell structure, provide stored fuel, and also take part in several biological processes, including the healthy functioning of the nerve cells. Lipids are crucial for nerve cells and constitute about 70% of the dry weight of the nervous system. The functions of lipids includes signaling, transport, regulation, insulation, thermostat, and storage. In this module, we are going to study lipid functions in an elaborative manner. Descriptively, the functions of lipid include the storage function. Lipids, in addition to the characteristic mentioned in the concept map, execute numerous biological functions. Lipids act as a storage compounds, and the triglycerides serve as the stockpile energy of the body. In this animation, you can see that how these lipid molecules, which are circular, stored in a square box which represents the adipose tissues, are stored in adipocytes. Lipids are also an essential component of membrane structure of eukaryotic cell, prokaryotic cell, as well as some of the archaeal membranes. Lipids exist in the membrane as a bilayer, and where in this bilayer phospholipids, cholesterol are embedded. And This lipid gives a unique feature to the membrane of the cell. Another functions of lipids include membrane permeability. The lipids regulates the permeability of the membrane. As we can see from this figure on the left, that membranes are differentially permeable to solutes. And if we look at the membrane permeability versus lipid bilayer permeability, we can see the transport of the proteins, the ions, as well as gases, and how it takes place and at what concentration. Similarly, we can see that among gases, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and oxygen are permeable. Small uncharged polar molecules like ethanol, water molecule, urea, and large uncharged polar molecules like glucose, ions like potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, carbonate, and phosphate, and charged polar molecules like amino acid, ATP, and glucose 6-phosphate are all regulated through lipids. Other functions include lipids as the source for fat-soluble vitamins. Actually, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are the lipid-soluble vitamins. They are insoluble in water, and being a lipid, cholesterol is also the antecedent of bile acids, steroids, and vitamin D. Lipid also acts as an electrical insulator, especially to the nerve fibers of the myelin sheath. In this picture, one may see that how nerve fibers and myelin insulation takes place with the help of lipids, and also a projection to represent the insulation in form of a plastic by lipids and the electrical wire as a nerve fiber. Lipids are also the components of a number of enzyme and enzymatic systems. For example, the glycerol lipids, where it is monoacyl glycerol, diglycerol, phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidic acid, or lysophosphatidic acid. Lipids are the components of acyl transferases, phosphocholine transferases, MAG kinases, diacylglycerol kinases, and also they are the part A of the enzyme system involved in sphingolipid biosynthesis. The interconversion of sphingosine to ceramide by acyl transferases and ceramidases also contains lipids. Sphingosine kinase, sphingosine 1-phosphatase, ceramide kinase are some of the examples of enzymatic system which is composed of lipids. Today, it is well known that lipids perform a fundamental activity in the body. For example, they act as a chemical messenger that earlier described storage as well as cell membrane formation. Researchers have found out that lipids have a pervasive activity in the body for the regulation of the hormones or for the intracellular signaling. They are blended through the intricate biosynthetic pathways, yet deemed essential and ought to be complemented via diet. In 1929, George and Mildred Burr established that linoleic acid is an indispensable dietary component, while Bergstrom et al. In 1964 reported that prostaglandins originate from arachidonate that exert their effect on inflammation and related disease condition. It was in 1979 that platelet activating factor, earliest known as bioactive phospholipids, was revealed, and awareness was created regarding the role of phosphatidyl inositol and their metabolites in the signaling as well as cell message transfer. Another important function of lipids is the regulation of cellular metabolic activity. Lipids, for example, prostaglandins and steroid hormones, they act as the cellular metabolic regulators. Cholesterol, present in bile, blood, and cell membranes of various organisms, also regulates the cellular metabolic activity. If we can see the table, we can find out there was a national cholesterol education program and certain guidelines have been framed for the cholesterol to regulate various cellular metabolic activity. And we can see the type of lipids, category of lipids, or the category of cholesterol specifically. There are total cholesterol whose limit, whose requirement is less than 200. However, if it crosses 200 level and crosses 240 or higher, then there is a need to check this level. Similarly, the low density lipoprotein cholesterol, which is also referred to as the bad cholesterol, is required in a desirable amount of 130. 160 or higher concentration gives an impetus to check the level for the proper functioning. On the other hand, HDL cholesterol, which is also called as good cholesterol, where the desirable limit is 50 or higher, if it is less than that of 40, then this needs to be rectified. Similarly, triglycerides, which are required less than 200 as that of total cholesterol, the 400 and higher triglyceride level gives an indication of poor cellular metabolic activity. Being diminutive molecules, lipids are water insoluble and henceforth they act as an good signaling molecules. So in signaling, lipids play a vital role. Like for example, when fatty acids are broken down into acyl-CoA, which results in the formation of LPA or lysophosphatidic acid or phosphatidic acid, diacylglycerol or triacylglycerol, through step-by-step pathway which either takes place in mitochondria or in endoplasmic reticulum. They are involved in the signaling pathways. And many signaling pathways of the cell are regulated through these diacylglycerol, triacylglycerol, phosphatidic acid or lysophosphatidic acid. So these gives an indication that lipid molecules are important as a signaling molecules. All the multicellular organism utilizes lipids as a chemical messenger to propel information among the cells, tissues and organs. Since lipids are water insoluble and diminutive, they are exceptional contender for signaling. The esterified forms of lipids penetrate the membrane and are elated to transmit signals to the adjacent cell. After encountering the suitable receptor, these lipids remain idle till they arrive at an action site and bind to the certain proteins to accomplish the function. Regarding the energy storage, the triacylglycerols, which are storage lipids, they are composed of glycerol moiety and 3 fatty acids. The triacylglycerol releases free fatty acids or non-esterified form of fatty acids to outline the cell structural components. The dietary fatty acids of small chain and average size are non-esterified. They oxidized rapidly in tissues to serve as a fuel source. The elongated fatty acids are first esterified to the structural lipids or the triacylglycerols. The lipids, apart from the other functions, also safeguard the temperature homeostasis. The subcutaneous fat beneath the skin layer to assist in the protection from cold and insulation. The brown fat, as divergent to the white fat, primarily maintains the body temperature. The children boast a superior brown fat level. Lipids also help in the formation of membranes. As we know that polyunsaturated fatty acids, the essential constituent of the phospholipids, bestowed essential membrane properties. The fluidity and the flexibility of the membranes are the most imperative asset. Essential fatty acids, for example, linoleic acid and linolenic acid, forms the arachidonic, docosahexaenoic and icosapentaenoic acids, in part required for the membrane lipid formation. Lipids also helps in the cholesterol formation. To a great extent, cholesterol, which is placed in the cell membranes, appear in blood in form of plasma lipoprotein. These lipoproteins, which are composed of proteins aggregate as well as lipids, they facilitate the transport of lipids throughout the body and craft their movement feasible in an aqueous environment. Based on the relative densities, the major group of lipoproteins are categorized as chylomicrons, high density lipoproteins also known as HDL, low density lipoproteins LDL and very low density lipoproteins VLDL. Phospholipids, which includes phosphatidylcholine as well as sphingomyelin, interacts with cholesterol and maintain the fluidity of the membranes. Cholesterol, in addition, is also the precursor of bile acid, steroidal hormones, and vitamin D. Apart from the cholesterol formation, lipids also play a significant role in prostaglandin formation as well as in inflammation. Linoleic acid and linolenic acids, which are the essential fatty acids, are the predecessor of a lot of diverse type of eicosanoids such as prostanoids, for example thromboxanes, prostaglandins, and prostacyclins. Hydroxyicosatetraenes, resolvins, and leukotrienes, which is also known as lipoxins, etc., that play an imperative part in blood clotting, inflammation, fever, and pain. Apart from the functions, the fat soluble vitamins are also vital nutrients with plentiful purpose. So, the metabolism of fatty acids has been carried out by acylcarnitines, involving the inward as well as outward operation by mitochondria. Polyphenols and their derivatives facilitate the transfer of molecules through the membrane. Cardiolipins, another type of glycerophospholipids with 3 glycerol groups and 4 acyl chain, activate the enzyme involved in oxidative phosphorylation. Lipids also regulates the body temperature, and that is why they are considered as a good thermostat of the body. There are two types of fats present in the body, the white fat and the brown fat, and it is the brown fat that maintains the body temperature and present in the subcutaneous layer. They afford insulation and protection from cold and very low or very high temperature. In this animation, we can see how this body temperature falls and body temperature rise and fall in the body temperature regulates the functioning of the human body. The normal body temperature is retained with the help of the lipids. Another important function of lipid is the fluidity and the flexibility. The phospholipids, which are phosphorus containing lipid molecules, provides fluidity and flexibility to the cell membranes, whereas cholesterol sustain the fluidity of the membranes by intermingling with the lipid complex. In this figure, the lipid fluidity has been shown as temperature sensitive. There is a phase transition point, which is a ventilating temperature, and in a study which was performed, it was been observed that between the temperature range of 10 to 40 degrees, the percentage of lipid in liquid crystalline phase has been defined. The 50% is defined as the phase transition point of the lipids. Lipids also helps in transportation process. If we can see the structure of lipoproteins, which is having a phospholipid, cholesterol receptor protein and triglycerides. The lipoprotein complex crop up in blood as plasma lipoprotein. Actually, they are the combination of proteins along with the lipids and helps in the transportation of lipids in aqueous environment throughout the body of the organism. So lipids have different type of functions in various conditions or the functions of the disease as well as disorders. The essential fatty acids, for example, linoleic acid and linolenic acids, are the precursors of a lot of different types of eicosanoids, including prostaglandins and thromboxanes, that play a significant role in fever, in pain, in inflammation, and in blood clotting process. If we look at the function of the lipids, we can see different types of lipids execute different types of functions. Say for example, triglycerides, which are also called as triacylglycerols, they function as a energy storage. Similarly, the steroid, another type of lipid, they control the structure of the plasma membrane and determine its resistance. Phospholipids, another type, they attract and repel water molecules, henceforth displaying a key role in the constitution of cell membranes. The glycolipids, the carbohydrate containing lipids, it boosts the immune system of the body. It regulates the immune response of the body. Similarly, lipoproteins, which is an amalgamation of proteins and lipids, helps fat to move around the body in the bloodstream and subsist in the form of high density lipoproteins and low density lipoproteins, and waxes helps in the protection of the cell or the membrane or the tissues. So to conclude the functions of the lipids, we have today learned about the storage property of the lipids, how they are stored in specialized tissues which is known as adipose tissues. They function as a signal molecules in both intracellular as well as extracellular pathways. They are important transport materials inside and outside the cell. They are very good regulators, very good insulators, protects the organs as well as regulates the temperature of the body. So these functions of the lipids make lipids incredible. So this is what we learn today in this module, functions of lipids. Thank you.